guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Tokyo Ravens episode 16. And this one starts off with a few different scenes. The Onmyo agency, one of their offices is being raided. They're searching for members of the Twin Horn Syndicate. This is all part of Amami's plan. Apparently, he's just going all the places where like, there's no actual plan. He's pretty much just chasing after people. Pretty much, he's having his people chase after people. That's exactly what it is. It's not really much of a plan, but whatever. Um, we end up getting confirmation from Suzuka via text that or email, whichever, because in Japan there seems to be no texting, only emailing, unless it's just a translation error that is made constantly and constantly. But we learned from Suzuka, we get confirmation that a shaver is in fact a familiar. After looking at after Harutora looked at Shaver, he ended up dropping his chopsticks, which may or may not be because of him, because he's like a forbidden familiar that Kagami isn't supposed to be using. But so maybe it's some type of power he has, because his eyes lit up, but that might have just been an effect. He ends up dropping his chopsticks. He has to go inside to get some more. That's when he ends up running into Reiji and Kagami. And they end up starting to talk. Reiji asks him about Otomo, and Harutora pretty much tells him everything he can. They have a long discussion. Don't look like Harutora was yelling at some point, so maybe it's turned into an argument, and then back to a discussion. Reiji ended up mentioning this thing called the eight-hole woven cage, or no, the curse of the calming eight-hole woven cage, which is a stupid name. Japan needs to do something about their naming, because stuff like maybe it's just that it didn't translate well, which is probably the case. I have no doubt that that's the case. But even without that's why it sounds weird. But the name is still freaking long. That's ridiculous. Jesus Christ. All right, they need to do something about that. All right. During the whole conversation that they're having, at one point, Eito walks in. That dude from last week who was fighting Harutora in the beginning of the episode. He walks in, but he doesn't do anything, and he just leaves after a little bit. And once Reiji gets up to leave, he tells Harutora that he should go and become an exorcist. So yeah, that's pretty much the last we see of Harutora till the end. The rest is just focused on the Twin Horn Syndicate. We see that guy Makihara, who was in one of those scenes in the beginning of the episode with people with the Onmyo agency guys trying to capture Twin Horn Syndicate members. He's leading all these men and two women, because there were only two women in the entire crowd. One of them stood out a lot because all the guys there and the one other girl there had like black hair, brown hair. They had like dark colored hair, but she had this like red hair, and she stuck out like a sore thumb. Like seriously. But he ended up leading those guys. He was going to use this magic tool that was left behind by Chihiro that belonged to Domon in order to create spirit disasters in the agency, which would allow them to all escape. And at one point, he's talking to the phone to some guy who looked like Eito, and it probably was Eito, because at the end of the episode, we see him go up to Harutora and Natsume, the crew, and Akiyoko was there. Not all of them were there. Tenma and Toji weren't. But goes up to the crew and reveals that he is a Yako devotee. And I'm assuming he's in the Twin Horn Syndicate, but because that would make sense. Why else would he be talking to a guy in the Twin Horn Syndicate? You know. But yeah. Makihara's talking with him. He hangs up. He ends up getting shot by Hirata, because Hirata showed up at one point. For some reason, him and Amami were allowed to leave, because Amami ended up showing up later too. Hirata was on the phone too. These guys, they just can't last a day without a phone call. Seriously, they made like 20 calls in this episode. He was on the phone with someone, and Amami showed up. So somehow, for some reason, even though it's their plan that they're leading, they were allowed to leave. Like, whatever. Or maybe they created like some clones or something using Shikigami, whatever. Who knows? But using familiars. But they end up showing up here, and they fight. at first Amami, he has the upper hand because while they were talking, he was like slipping in some curses in there, and he got some spells out because of his fan. So it looks like he has the upper hand at first, but then Hirata ends up using these Goho Shikigami like a cone, except they're big. Apparently they're servant types. Amami called them Imperial Pallbearers. So apparently they're really strong. Okay, Amami was acting like this was some huge accomplishment, but we've never seen stuff like this before, so we have no way of knowing that. All we can do is take his word for it. So I didn't like that at all. Um, don't show, don't tell. Like seriously, to me, all these Shikigami act the same. Like I don't see why one is somehow stronger than the other. But whatever. I don't see them like destroying continents and crap. I go, no, I'm going too far now. But still, there are no feats of strength. It's just they defeat other Shikigami, but there's nothing impressive about it. They just win. So we just have to take Amami's word for it that summoning 3 of these things is really impressive. I'm sure it takes stamina to summon 3 familiars at once, but it wasn't the number of them that he summoned that was impressive. It was the fact that he summoned them in the first place. These Imperial Pallbearers. So we just have to trust Amami and say that it is an accomplishment to summon these things. And Amami ends up summoning a couple familiars too, but Hirata ends up winning that battle. So Amami tries to use some other spells, but he still loses. Okay, and Hirata walks up to him, starts talking, saying how he's different from the Yako devotees on Twin Horn Syndicate. He's an act. He's not. He refers to those Yako devotees on the Twin Horn Syndicate as mindless and ignorant fanatics, something like that. Okay, and he said like all the guys on Twin Horn Syndicate, they're all like that, all of them. Okay. And he says that the Twin Horn Syndicate is one of the 2 groups that follow Yako's will, one of the 2 groups of Yako devotees. The other group is actually Onmyo Prep. Each group that follows his will, their goal is to, what's the word I'm looking for? Fulfill Yako's desires, one of Yako's desires. The one that Onmyo Prep fulfills is a desire to raise new Onmyo mages. And he was going to say what the goal of the Yako of the Twin Horn Syndicate was, but he didn't get a chance because he realized like why am I talking? Why am I saying all this? Why am I telling him all this? Then he realized he was caught in a trap, like pretty much a genjutsu, pretty much. Turns out Amami pretended to lose so that he could get Hirata to start talking, and yeah, all these fans show up. The room changes. And Amami just knocks him out with one tap to the head with his fan, and that's that. And after that, Hirata starts to flicker like he's a familiar or something. But then he transforms into Souma. So that caught me off guard. Right then we have the stuff with Eito at the end. I mentioned that already, but that transforming, I did not see that coming at all. At all, I really didn't. If I had to give a rating to the episode, which I do because I'm reviewing it, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid, good episode. Hirata versus Amami was enjoyable for what it was. I was kind of annoyed that Amami lost after being built up to be this real strong divine general, but it turned out he pretended to lose, so that was fine. Hirata / Souma ended up looking good too. Revealed that Hirata was in fact Souma. And pretty much Harutora and Reiji Kagami. That's pretty much it. Yeah, because the rest of the stuff was just a plan being in effect, and that was just whatever. Who cares? So I'll give it a 7.5. Yeah, because who cares? Seriously. Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5. Yeah, that's it. Episode gets 7.5 out of 10. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.